our first expert guest today is Debra Poneman. And Debra is coming to us, as she said, today from Evanston, Illinois. She says, where am I today? Because she ends up getting all over the world. Debra Poneman is Poneman. I am so sorry, Debra, founder of the Yes to Success seminar. She shared her system and she says tens of thousands, but I think it's probably millions around the world to live lives of success, abundance, deep happiness, and lasting inner fulfillment. Debra is a best-selling chicken soup for the soul author, featured guest on ABC, NBC, Fox, CNN, known as the mentor to the mentors. Now, we're going to get into that a little bit later because there's some funny, or not so painful at the time, but now we can laugh, or I guess she can laugh at them. Debra's students have used her formula to become mega successful. She has several stories about that. She's been an in-house trainer. Now, remind yourself, this was decades ago. For Mattel Toys, McDonnell Douglas, of course, and Xerox. She began in the 80s when it was really not heard of for women to be in such corporate positions of training and acclaim. And Debra feels her greatest accomplishment is not only that she's helped so many live the life of their dreams, but she's helped them discover their greatness. Welcome, Debra. How are you?
I am so good, and I'm so happy to be here with another Debra who spells it right.
I was going to say the same thing. Oh, it is so fun to be with you. And so let's get into it. Tell us of your journey. I mean, full-time meditation and then teaching meditation to international seminar leader. Debra, how did you do that?
Okay, so in 1971, I went to teacher training. I became a teacher of transcendental meditation. So I've been a meditation teacher for over 50 years. And yes, I just popped out of my mom and became a meditation teacher. But after teaching meditation for the entire decade of the 70s, when I saw the big 3-0 on the horizon, I thought, okay, woman does not live by mantra alone. I got to make some money. So I thought, okay, where do people go to make a lot of money? Because I wanted to make a lot of money, come back and teach meditation. I thought, well, obviously LA, everybody's rich in LA. So I left my meditation community in Fairfield, Iowa, moved to LA, got a job selling investments, was a dismal failure. I never sold one except to my dear father who felt sorry for me. But you know this expression, we make plans and God laughs. My plan was to make a lot of money so I could go back and teach meditation. But one day I was invited to the Learning Annex because it was going to be a money seminar. And I thought it was going to help me be more successful in investing, maybe stock, and also be more successful at what I was doing, which was trying to sell investments. And I walk in, this was 1980, and the guy is talking about the law of attraction. And he says, whatever our dominant thought is, we vibrate that thought into our lives. He said, we're like tuning forks, and just like a B flat repels an F sharp, if we're always talking about how poor we are, how we'll never get out of debt, how my parents were poor and I'll be poor, and all of these kind of negative vibrational thoughts, that is the only thing that we, by the law of attraction, not the theory of attraction, the law of attraction, we could vibrate into our lives. And I had never heard of anything like this before. This was decades before The Secret. And then the speaker also said, and if you really want to be prosperous and successful, help other people become prosperous and successful, lift them up, give them contacts, mentor them, do everything, even wish other people success and prosperity as they walk by you on the street, because that energetically opens you up to more success and prosperity in your life. And I thought, well, this all makes sense to me. Yeah. And also at the moment, I went home, I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and I woke up my then husband. His name was Mark. I remember that. Usually I forget. But anyway, his name is Mark. And I woke him up. I said, I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to teach people these principles of how to create true success. And I started studying the great masters like Napoleon Hill and Wallace Wattles and Florence Scovel Shinn and Catherine Ponder. And I put together a seminar. And I'll tell you, I'm going to give you just a couple things that I did that allowed me to become, even though I only had a degree in the science of creative intelligence from Maharishi International University. I was driving a beat up old Chevy Bel Air that my aunt had left me, and I was broke. And I started a success seminar company. And one of the reasons why I knew it was for me is because an idea comes to you because you're the one that the creator gave that idea to, because a creator needs that idea manifested on the planet at the time. I didn't have the idea to become a financial planner. I didn't have an idea to put on an event called, Women Busting Through Barriers. No, but Deb did. Yeah. So the ideas that we're supposed to manifest come to us. But have you ever noticed that you have a great idea? How many of you write in the chat, you had a great idea, you never did anything about it? Somebody else did. And they became very successful with your idea. Anybody? Yep. Barbara says, yep, me. A lot of people, yep, there you go. You had first dibs. So what you have to do is you just have to take a step from which there is no turning back, damn the torpedoes. And one other thing, and then I'll let you ask me another question. When you have an idea that fills a need or answers a gap in society, don't go around telling everybody what you're going to do, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to bump up against the discouragement committee. Those people who are going to tell you all the reasons why your idea won't work. Oh, too many books on that. Too many people speak on that. You don't have the credentials. Don't tell those people. So they can crush your idea, your little seed of an idea, before it gets a chance to grow. Keep it safe and warm inside. No matter how much you're excited about your idea, you want to tell people, don't. Because what's going to happen, and also every time you tell someone, you're letting the steam out of the kettle. You got to let that steam build up so that it bursts forth in the manifestation of the idea that the creator, the God of your understanding, gave to you.
Well, we could wrap up the whole summit with that. I am so empowered with that message and the energy behind it, the energy within the message and Debra's energy as she expounds on it. So you're there at the height of your career, the height of success. I mean, what people would just give quite a few body parts for, and you gave it up. I want you to tell us about that.
Yes, I did. Within 3 years, my seminars were being taught in 9 countries on 4 continents, which is decades before the internet made international communication instantaneous. This was phones connected to the wall, right? By those curly cords, right? We didn't even have fax machines back then, but I had an idea and I knew that the world needed it, and the idea was given to me, and I was a product of my product. Yeah. Everything that I taught, I tried before I taught it to other people. And I became more and more successful. And I was teaching Yes to Success all over the country. Some people who became household names were my students at the time. I'll mention some of them later. But, and then what happened was that my main message is follow your heart, and you will always end up at the place of greatest success. And what happened was I was about to have my own daytime TV talk show. Janet Atwood was actually my secretary at the time, the passion test. She was there taking notes when I was meeting with the producers. Own daytime TV talk show. My Yes to Success book was in the hands of a couple New York publishers who all wanted to publish it. And I gave it all up because I followed my heart. And what happened was, in July of 1988, my baby girl was born, and I took one look at that little scrunched up face and I thought, new passion. Because here's the thing, Deb, you know this, people have authenticity meters, and for a fact when a person is a real teacher, somebody who walks their talk, and somebody who talks one thing and does something else. And I knew that if I told people to follow their heart, and my heart was in that little nursery with my baby, and I was traveling around the world teaching Yes to Success, my authenticity meter would have been way over in the negative range. So I gave it all up. For 21 years, I became a full-time stay-at-home mom and it's so funny, I was supposed to do a big tour of Southeast Asia as soon as I had the baby. And the guy's name is Chiang. He was supposed to set up this tour, and he called me. He's like, I heard you had the baby. Let's get the tour on the books. And I said, Chiang, you're going to have to call me back in 18 years. He still remembers. He's still my friend, which turned into 21 years when my son was born. And I know you wanted me to tell a quick version of the story about did I ever doubt my decision? Because people say, what? You gave that up. Did you ever doubt your decision?
Right.
And the answer is absolutely. I'm a human. Humans doubt. You don't think that I doubted my decision when, I mean, Deepak Chopra was one of my students. Marcy Shimoff was one of my students. I had one time where 5 of my students had books on the New York Times bestseller list while I was home knee deep in dirty diapers. Do you think that I didn't doubt? And one of the moments where I really doubted was, it was a morning when my kids were really out of sorts. So I decided I'd put them in front of the TV and they wanted to watch Barney. They were 5 and 2. Daniel was still in diapers. And they're like, Bounty, I want to watch Bounty. So I'm doing this channel check. And as I'm doing the channel check looking for Bounty, I see one of my students on Oprah showing Oprah a demonstration of the power of the mind that I actually cognized in a meditation. Now, there was nothing wrong with him teaching it, because I said to my students, go take my stuff. The world needs it. Don't have to give me credit. Just teach it to your heart's content. However, this particular morning, he has Oprah going, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I'm going to teach to my staff, blah, blah, blah. And I have these 2 whiny kids on the couch. So I'm standing in front of the TV. I burst into tears and I'm sobbing, which was good because it kind of made my kids stop crying and whining for a minute, because they went into shock. Like, first she's looking for Barney and then she's standing in front of the TV crying. And the only thing that woke me out of my self-imposed stupor, pity party, was my little daughter. True story. She goes, Mommy. I go, yes, sweetie. She goes, I think you forgot our popsicles.
First things first.
Right? Out of the mouths of babes. I said, yes, I did, baby. So I found Barney and I went into the kitchen and I was mad at God. I'm pouring the orange juice into little plastic molds. And I'm like, I am so mad at you, God. Why did you do this to me? That was supposed to be me. And this little voice came to me that said, I call it the voice of God, remember the book. And I saw a book that I had read several years ago about a person, several years before, about a person who had actually died. And he wrote a book about his experience, how he went through this tunnel of darkness and there was a being of light on the other end. And the being of light showed him the highlights of his life. And it was a very short reel. It showed him showing his son how to swing a baseball bat and dancing with his daughter at her wedding. And that was about it. And he's like, but what about when I brought the company public? And what about when I opened the factories in Japan? And the being of light said, all of those moments glorified you. And then the being of light said, I have permission to show you the life of somebody else who just passed over. And in the book, it says these curtains of golden light parted, and there on a throne of golden light was the woman who used to clean his home, who would take 2 or 3 buses just to scrub his toilets. And then he said, the being of light said, now I'm going to show you the highlights of her life. And it was an endless reel. It showed her carrying a pot of soup to a sick friend. And it showed her stroking her mother's hair as her mother was making her transition. And it showed her comforting a child who had been bullied. And it showed her cheering at the baseball games for the kids whose parents couldn't be there because they had to work 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table. And it showed her at church just hugging everybody up and saying, how you doing today? And then the being of light said, you thought she was such a pathetic creature, but she had a glorious life. And when you get here, you find out that the only thing that matters while you're on earth is how much love you give. So I just went back into the living room, sat down between my 2 babies, put away Napoleon Hill and Wallace Wattles, and I spent the next 18 years learning from my 2 greatest teachers. And of course, those are the 2 teachers who call me mom. And they're still my 2 greatest teachers. So that's my story. And 21 years later, I came back.
Well, you certainly have. I know I listened to several interviews, which are completely earth shattering in their profundity. And one of them in which you relayed that one of your, cohorts and friends said, Debra, have you gone out of your mind, not signing this TV contract for a talk show? These are the days that Phil Donahue and whatever. I mean, some of us are old enough, right? And you said, I have gone out of my mind and into my heart. And what better story? Yes. So 20 years later, you're 21 years later, you birthed two wonderful children who are completely accomplished, and wow, are they making an impact? Go to Debra's website. You'll see all the work, the film work and the basketball work of her son, Daniel, and her daughter's a chiropractor in Seattle, about to be married. So it's all kind of things happening with that. And yet I want you to talk about how then you came back and within a year built a multi-million-dollar business.
It's very, very simple. How did I build a multi-million-dollar business? Because there is one principle, and if you live this, I promise you, you will have success. And that is treat everyone as the most important person in the world. You know what we do sometimes? We're at a party, we're at a gathering, we're at a wedding. Somebody comes up, they want to talk to us, and we judge them. They're too short, they're too tall, they're too fat, they're too thin, their glasses are cockeyed. And we make a judgment about them, and we start looking around the room to see if there's somebody more important to speak to. That person standing in front of you is a child of God and deserves your full attention. And I always live that because I learned that from the beginning. I actually learned that from my mom. And there is this one little college student who came to one of my Yes to Success seminars in the early 80s and bounced up afterwards and said, I want to work for you. I want to work for you. And I said, oh, but you're in graduate school. I want to quit graduate school. And she did. And that little girl, whose name is Marcy Shimoff, went on to become one of the top 10 nonfiction female authors of all times. And when she heard that I was coming back from my 21-year hiatus of being a full-time mom at home, she grabbed me because she had an idea to start this company called Your Year of Miracles. And she didn't want to teach it with anybody but me. And our first launch was a $1 million launch. And again, same thing with Janet Atwood. Janet Atwood, when I came out into the world again after being at Chuck E. Cheese for the last, I mean, I wasn't there all the time, but I spent a lot of time at Chuck E. Cheese.
Exactly.
But when I reemerged, same thing. Janet got me my first speaking engagement because she remembered that I gave her first speaking engagement. So help people even when there is seemingly nothing someone can do for you. First of all, you never know. And second of all, more importantly, everyone deserves to be treated like the most important person in the world. That person in front of you is always the most important person in the world. And you never know where that attention is going to lead.
Well, I am overwhelmed with emotion about that because it rings so true. And I just have to say the tie between our guests. Are the rest of you noticing that in the chat?
I know Nancy
and I,
is
right? The one, right? She is completely in congruence with these statements in that as we are facing another human being on screen and belly button to belly button, that person deserves our attention, else move on. And
right.
This is life-changing, women, is to treat everyone. You remember the story, the reel that Debra just recalled, as that woman was the one and he didn't recognize it. Let's wake up. That ties into Chris Williams from yesterday. Wide awake. Let's be wide awake to whatever's in front of us and use this half the time. Half the time you use these, right? So boy, well, one philosophy and Debra Poneman's message just now. Nancy, do you want to just pop in?
Yeah, and Nancy and I have the same birthday, just by the way.
Oh my heart, that's so amazing.
I know, because she spoke at a Mark Porteous event, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're sisters. I teach the same thing. I love you, Nancy.
You are sisters from a different mister, and I am ecstatic to know both of you. Let's do that in the Q&A. Debra, we have a couple minutes more until we open it for Q&A, but if you want to share any of the general busting through barriers, I mean, you're a woman. Let's get serious. You were coming into, real prominence in an era that was less open and accepting of women in leadership roles than we are even today. And we got a long way to go. Any other general tips?
Yeah, I'll tell you the one thing, just don't think of failure, only think of success. Don't think of the reasons why you might not succeed. I didn't even know that there weren't any women trainers in corporate America back in the 80s. I just knew that I had something valuable to teach people. So again, that's why you want to keep your ideas to yourself, because when you bump up against the discouragement committee, they're going to say, there are no corporate trainers. It's not, no, don't tell people that. And don't hold yourself back because fear of failure. Failure in whose eyes? Think of what we don't do because we're afraid of what others think. When I hate to break the news to you, they're not even thinking about you. You're not that important to them. And yet you stop yourself from doing what you know you should do because you possibly might not succeed and somebody possibly might think something about you. And also, here's another one. Stop acting like, oh, little old me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the one who's supposed to change the world. Yeah, there's no time for you to be acting like that anymore. That false humility is just your ego helping you to try and protect yourself in case what you do doesn't work out. Stop wasting everyone's time with it. Oh, little old me. If you weren't supposed to do great things in the world, you wouldn't have been attracted to something about women busting through barriers. Okay. You'd be watching soap operas right now. But the truth is that the world is not in great shape, and you might have noticed, and it needs what only you can give it, and there is no time to waste. That idea was whispered in your ear. Give yourself permission to be who you were put on earth to be, and no more excuses. I'm too old. I'm too young. I had a horrible childhood. I don't have money. I never went to college. My second cousin twice removed said I'll never be successful. I don't really care what your second cousin twice removed told you, because it has nothing to do with you anyway. It's only his or her limiting consciousness, right? The world, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And if we see weakness in somebody else, it's only you point one finger at them, three are pointing back at you. So you can either have excuses or have success. You can't have both. In fact, I like to end by inviting everybody to make a commitment. Write in the chat, would you like to choose success? Or would you like to choose excuses? If it's excuses, just write excuses. But again, you can't have both. So write in the chat, excuses or success, excuses or success. And I invite you to do it because as soon as you write success, all the energies in the universe are going to show up to support you. You just told the universe what you want. The cosmic order takers didn't know you wanted success. They were watching you always making excuses. But now they know. So watch the miracles start showing up in your life. And when you're about to make an excuse, stop yourself and say, you know what? I take responsibility for that. 100% responsibility, 99% responsibility. You can always blame it on someone else.
Right.
Commitment to 100% responsibility, no excuses. And I promise you, you will sail to success.
Oh, as you have certainly been a leader there. And Debra's, the link will be in the chat. Her free gift to each of us is 5 Secrets to a Life of True Success. I've read it. It's fantastic. No, I'm not telling you what they are. They're secrets. You get it. Now, Q&A, we're opening it up. Everybody that wants to just query Debra Poneman, just take yourself off mute and shout out. Now's the time.
I love questions.
Yep. So either unmute yourself or hit *6 on your phone. I'm getting all the magic happening to make it nice and easy for everyone. Robin Johnson, you are unmuted.
Hey. It's always great to be with Debra. She is the best. She's awesome. And another Debra who sounds equally awesome. And I just want to say, I honor you so much for your choice to be a stay-at-home mom. I have an MBA and now another master's, and I chose to be a stay-at-home mom for 15 years and then started working part-time and now doing other things. But I really honor you for doing that you can do that and still be, having life in different phases. And I just totally honor you for that.
Well, thank you, dear. And likewise. And here's the main thing that people should know. And that is we were each put on earth with, there's a Sanskrit word, dharma. Yes. Dharma is your life's path. Okay. And we each have a Dharma, and we've been given gifts so that we could fulfill that Dharma. Some people have the gift of gab. Some people have the gift of music. Some people have the gift of dance. Some people have the gift of being great organizers. Whatever it is, you are given that gift because it's your Dharma. And if you follow your heart, your Dharma is not going to go away. If you take 15 years out of your life to be a full-time mom at home, not only will your Dharma, for me, it's to be a speaker, is not going to go away, it's going to be even stronger because you showed your faith and your trust in the universe that you can follow your heart, and what you were put on earth to do will still be waiting for you on the other side. It's really the only way is to follow your heart, the only way to true success.
Yeah, and I thought I'd just quickly add, so I graduated from high school in 1975. That lets you know I'm 65. And back then, the attitude was the only women who stay home to raise their children they're just too stupid to do anything else.
Ouch.
And so anyway, I was very passionate about, raising my children. And I said, I have an MBA that proves I'm not too stupid.
That's right.
And so that's another reason why I really honor what you're doing. Put it up. I thought I'd put that.
Somebody once gave me a card that on the front, it said, she laughed when I said I was a mom at home, and I laughed because I know she wasn't qualified.
Ooh, love that.
Oops.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. Who's next?
Anyway.
Laura Barker's up next.
Good afternoon, Debra. You are such an inspiration. Both Debras sitting here before us. How lucky are we to have the wisdom of both? This is my first exposure, though, to you, Debra Poneman. And just really everything that you have said has just really resonated with me. But one of the things that you said just a few moments ago is about the 100% responsibility. To me, that equals freedom, right? If you are 100% responsible for your life, well, if you've made mistakes, own it. But guess what? You can change it, right? You can move forward. And I love just everything you have spoken about today. You have to follow your heart for success. And you are so right that, if you choose one path now, it doesn't preclude another path later.
That's right. We have lots of Dharma.
It will be there. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Laura. We have a lot of Dharmas. I have the Dharma of being a mom, a Dharma of being a speaker, a Dharma of being, I now teach a course called Ageless. I'm actually 70. So
no, you are not. No, you are not.
No, I mean, you're right. I'm 70 and a half.
No. Oh my gosh, woman.
But I teach this course called Ageless. So now I have another Dharma of teaching a course called Ageless. And so we have a lot of Dharmas in our lifetime. But I love what you said about Werner Erhard, who is the founder of S. He said there's a difference between honoring agreement and keeping an agreement. And we always need to honor our agreements. Sometimes people say, I have to keep an agreement at all costs, but sometimes things change. So you might not be able to keep that agreement as it was originally made, but you can always go back to that person and say, things have changed in my life. I can't keep the agreement, but I'd like to know what I can do to honor the agreement. Absolutely. So we still take 100% responsibility.
Absolutely. And that is freedom. Understanding that we have the ability to take 100% responsibility, and that when we do, we set ourselves free and we honor others. I love it. Thank you, Debra.
Beautiful, Laura. I hope you're a teacher, because the way you expressed everything was just
and beautiful. I am. Thank you.
Good.
Awesome. All right, let's go to Chona Joy. I know we only have a minute.
Oh, I didn't raise my hand.
No, it was Ivy.
Well, there's several. So we got several in here. Chona, did you want to share something?
Oh, I've been following Debra Poneman for years now, and I'm so grateful for your inspiration, your ideas, your wisdom, your grace, your kindness, your love. Just love you. Just so glad to see you here today.
Thank you, Chana. And so great to meet you virtually. This is
Yes,
just,
thank you.
and I love your name, Chana Joy Ananda. Joy and
Thank-
Ananda are both mean joy. And it's like, what a
Bliss.
beautiful name.
Bliss.
Awesome.
Bliss.
Yes, thank you.
All right, let's go to, thank you, Jonah. Let's go to Alexandra Van Horn.
Hey there. I just wanted to give a shout out. I'm just loving the energy. I kind of got into the conversation midway, but I just love your whole message. I downloaded your book. Looking forward to reading it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Yes. You know, I'll just tell you something about that book. Remember, I said that my book was in the hands of a New York publisher, and that was when my baby was born. So I never published the book. And people kept saying, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? I thought, never. But what I'll do is I will take the essence of the book that I had already written and put it into an ebook. So all of what I feel are the essential components of a life of true success are in that book. So you don't have to read a 300-page book. You could read a 39-page ebook with lots of pictures.
Nice. Great. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexandra.
All right, do we have time for one more?
Go for it.
Olivia Jones.
Good afternoon, ladies. This has been so inspirational for me because I often feel like life may have missed me somehow. And, you know, I was a caregiver for my mom, she had Alzheimer's, early onset. And I feel like this gave me the sense that my calling is still there and that I need to continue to walk in that. And to just trust that there's still my purpose that I still have, but I need to contribute. Thank you so very much.
And Olivia, I want to say something else, and that is how many people regret that they didn't take care of their parent? How many people, that's the regret that they live with, that they had the opportunity to be there for their mom, for their dad, and they weren't, and you were. And that's the highest service you can do, to be there for the woman who gave you birth. So don't ever think that you didn't do what is your calling. That was your calling. That was what God needed you to do, to take care of that woman. So don't think that, you know, there isn't time left. You did what you were put on earth to do. And again, I have so many friends who just regret that they didn't do that for their moms. So you don't have to live with that regret. And you have a lot of years to go. Just write down the qualities of what makes you happy. When I decided that I was going to teach success seminars, I actually made a list of everything that I like to do: travel, work with people that I love, teach, go on TV. I just wrote down, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wrote down everything that made me happy. And next thing I knew, it came together as a career. So I invite you to do that. Make a list and then, you know, give it to the God of your understanding and say, can you please make this happen for me?
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. You have such a beautiful heart. I could just tell coming across the airwaves.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Wow. This is, and I'm just fast forwarding to your reel in heaven, right? Debra, this is going to be a long reel. I mean, caregiving is often a thankless job, and yet from the outside perception, and it's drudgery a lot of days, and it is filled with heart, especially caregiving someone who doesn't, no longer has a full complement of their mental capacity. The heart is the connector. And with that, I say, Debra Poneman has a huge heart, and she has shown us her heart in so many publications, so many interviews. She's now, thankfully, through the internet, all over the place and easily accessible. And I couldn't recommend Debra more highly with regard to the transition from one life's calling to the next, and then the weaving of all of those lessons. You see, Debra, I did, listen to a lot of your interviews, and those lessons you learned from being a mom helped you in bringing that multi-million-dollar business to the fore in a single year. So with that, I say, Debra, thank you so much for carving time out of your very busy schedule. We are blessed to have you here, and you make it a fantastic day, as we will.
And thank you. And thank you again for inviting me. And I'm going to hang out here. So I'm not going anywhere. I want to hear everybody else.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.